Hey everyone! This time on Tim Talks Audio, we're going to talk about putting a little saturation on your mix or master to add some extra beef to your song. When we think saturation, sometimes we think maybe hitting a preamp too hard or some piece of outboard gear, and really if we get too far, we go into distortion. And usually when we think distortion, we're talking about guitars and how well they can handle distortion. There is a difference between distortion and saturation, but we'll save that for another video. Right now, we're just going to talk about saturation. We're going to use saturation on our entire mix and show how adding just a little bit of harmonics can really beef up the sound of your record. I'm going to ask you to go gentle on your mixes because too much saturation can be bad, and if you send your mixes off to a mastering engineer, they may want to add some of their own or ask you to take it off, and if you print it, it's baked in. You can't do anything about it. Instead of worrying about the downsides, let's dive into the DAW and take a look at what some saturation on a mix can do for the song. So here we are inside the session. We have some drums in light blue, a bass DI in dark blue, guitars in green, and some vocals over here in red. I've got a couple effects going on as well, and these purple tracks are for our reference later. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a listen to our mix, and we're going to use the Softtube saturation knob to give some saturation to our mix as a whole. The Softtube saturation knob is a super powerful little tool, and it's free. So if you don't have it, there'll be a link in the description and you can pick it up today. And really, it's super simple. There's one knob of how much saturation you want, and then the saturation type down here. If we wanted to not mess with either the top end or the low end, that's where this switch comes into play. But we'll worry about that later. Right now, we just want to see what a little bit of saturation can do to our mix. Here's the mix the way we have it right now. Not bad. You can hear everything. Everything seems to have its own little place. But let's take this one step further and add a little drive with the saturation knob on our mix as a whole. I have it here on this bus that's then going to my output because I want to affect this across my entire mix. You could use this as a send for different effects getting saturated or put it right onto certain tracks if you want. Right now, I want to affect my whole mix, so I just made a bus, sent everything to the bus, and then that bus is going to the output. So here we go. Let's turn it on and start slowly adding some saturation. Right now you can see saturation is set to off. And you'll notice that even with the slightest increase in saturation, you'll get a lot of those harmonics and a bit more fullness in this mix. Let's take a listen. Pretty crazy how much that does with the knob only being at 1.4, and this knob goes all the way up to 10. Okay, we've seen what a little bit of saturation on a mix can do, but now let's talk about what's actually happening. What I have happening is I have a tone generator going through a bus, and I have that bus muted because nobody wants to hear test signals. In line of that bus, first is the saturation knob that we were using before, and at the end, I have the FabFilter Pro Q3. And the Q3 is just here for visual representation. I just wanted to show you guys what is actually happening. So let's go to our saturation and start turning it up. And we'll watch what's happening inside the analyzer field. Here we are at 0.4 on the saturation knob. And you can already see a lot of things are happening. We've got 200, 300, 400, 500, so on and so forth. Let's really drive it to bring those harmonics up because that's what we're doing. The saturation knob is adding even and odd harmonics to our source signal. So this is what it's actually doing. It's adding those harmonics to really beef up your sound. This can be good or bad because if you have bad signals also going through this saturation, you're then adding harmonics to it and making it seem like it's bigger and there's more of it. So you can see, adding just a little bit of saturation to your mix can really beef up the entirety of the song, but you really need to be careful because too much can make it sound distorted and it can take off pretty quickly. This may be something that you want to leave to your mastering engineer because they may do something similar, either with tape emulation or saturation of their own kind, just to add some extra harmonics to your mix and give it some extra beef. Of course, when sending your tracks off to your mastering engineer, have great communication with them and be able to go back and forth and send minor revisions of your mix to them. Maybe you put a little bit of saturation on and sent it off, but they didn't like the one that you picked. They're going to pick something that will give you a similar sound in their arsenal, which may be of different quality, and actually, with everything else that they do in mastering, could add even more. That's all for now. If you found this video informative, please like and share the video. For more, visit timflansbaum.com, and if you have a question, ask it in a comment, and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.